Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining today's Microsoft Marketplace Partner Office Hour. Super excited to be bringing you a session all about seamless private offers today. We will get started in just a second, but before we begin, just a few notes for you. My name is Justin Royal. I am the community manager for the Microsoft Marketplace community. If you're not a member of the community already, definitely encourage you to join the community where you can access not only this session on demand, but we have a whole library of office hours for partners, along with other resources for every stage of your journey on Marketplace. There's a discussion board where you can ask questions. There's a blog that you can access, thought leadership content, lots of great content on Marketplace community. So again, if you're not a member of the community already, definitely check it out, aka.ms/community/marketplace. So before we get started, just a note about questions. We do encourage you, if you're attending live today, to put your questions into the chat. We will have time for a live Q&A at the end of today's session. If you're watching this on demand, if you have a question, definitely feel free to ask your question in the Marketplace community discussion board. So with that being said, I will go ahead and introduce our speakers for today. We have my teammates Stephanie Bryce and Christine Brown joining us to talk all about seamless private offers. And with that being said, I will go ahead and hand it over to y'all. Thanks again for joining.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you everyone for joining today. Private offers are a core mechanism for bringing negotiated commercial terms into Microsoft Marketplace. They allow publishers and channel partners to offer custom pricing, flexible billing structures, and tailored terms, while enabling customers to still purchase through the same Microsoft-governed procurement, billing, and subscription experience they already use for their cloud solutions. As Marketplace adoption grows, private offers increasingly involve channel partners, including resellers, system integrators, and cloud solution providers. In this session, we'll cover the what and the why behind private offers, how to create them in Partner Center across publisher and channel-led motions, and how to ensure that both you and the customer have a seamless transaction experience. We'll share considerations through slides and show you where this actually happens in the systems through demos. Private offers follow one consistent life cycle. You create the offer, the customer accepts and purchases, and then the solution is activated or deployed. The selling motion can change who's involved, but the life cycle stays the same. Private offers exist to bring negotiated commercial terms into Marketplace while keeping the customer experience for Microsoft procurement, billing, and subscription governance intact, especially for those customers on an enterprise agreement or a Microsoft customer agreement with Microsoft. At a high level, partners create private offers on top of the billing constructs they've already created on a transactable public offer. Customers or CSPs accept and purchase in the Azure portal, then activation happens based on offer type. Software as a service versus deployable. Keep that separation in mind as we move into the models. As we go into details of creating a private offer, we'll keep the lifecycle constant and then map the different selling models onto it. The goal is to help you pick the right path and avoid common blockers that delay purchase. Everything starts with a transactable public offer and plan. Private offers don't change your product. They apply deal-specific pricing and terms on top of what you have already published. Here's a flow, but let's dive deeper. The main creation paths are direct to customer, multi-party, resale enabled, and CSP. What's important is the routing, who receives the offer, and who completes acceptance and purchase. From the public offer, you, the publisher, can sell directly to the customer via your offer. Create a private offer that designates a specific partner via multi-party to sell your offer to a specific customer. Enable your public offer to be resold by a specific partner via private offer to multiple customers through resale enabled offers. Customers may have a prior relationship with a CSP who will accept and purchase on their behalf. So it is important to check that the Microsoft billing agreement type Enterprise Agreement, Microsoft Customer Agreement, or CSP before actually creating the private offer. This is a great takeaway slide that allows you to compare private offers and what benefits are available for the respective selling motions. I will now hand it over to Christine to start the first demo, showing the Create experience in Partner Center.
Thanks, Stephanie. So when you create a private offer, let's start with the end in mind. What does your offer look like? And so take a look in the marketplace. Find solutions that you find attractive. A clean listing and the right plan structure make private offers faster to create and for the customer to purchase. For SDCs, the Partner Center is the control plane for the marketplace. Offers, plans, and private offers all start here. If tax payouts and user access aren't set up, then deals tend to stall a little bit later. We won't dive deep into tax and payout profiles, but please read these links that we've attached. To transact through the marketplace, your offer must be set to sell through the marketplace. Publishing a transactable offer has additional requirements, and today we're focusing on the private offer execution once that's in place. So plan design is where you avoid future deal friction, but plans to cover common contract durations and patterns up front so you don't have to republish right when the customer is ready to buy. There's important elements to include in each one of these. So we're building a plan to suit the infrastructure that you'll need in the future. For a private offer, an SDC to a customer, it's a very simple flow. Once the public solution is live and transactable, private offers are straightforward. If you need flexible billing, you'll create a plan with absolute pricing so you can set the schedule and the amounts. When you add a public plan to a private offer, you're using it as a template. If you choose the flexible billing option, a new plan is created for this deal only, and no other customers will see it. But it has to be based on an existing, published, public transactable plan. Here's where you can configure the customer-facing details: the plan name, the description, the contract duration. These are all elements that you can individualize for each customer. Save often. There's some important elements in here. The flexible billing option is selected. That allows you to choose as many dates and times and amounts to bill your customer as you have agreed with them. Enter the specific charges and dates and amounts, and this becomes the billing schedule the customer will follow and see as they accept the private offer. So for a resale enabled offer, it's a very similar flow, but there's one step in the beginning. The marketplace governs the customer purchase and the Microsoft to partner payout, and the reseller to publisher commercial agreement, the payment terms, the revenue share, and the invoicing still happens outside the marketplace. So that's a core difference to understand between a resale enabled offer and having a channel partner sell it for you versus you selling it yourself. So the publisher of this solution can authorize a partner to sell their own solution on their behalf. As a publisher, you can enable multiple resellers, and you can see whether you're the offer owner or an authorized solution seller. While it's easy in Partner Center, it is recommended to document the partner-publisher relationship process and payments outside the marketplace. A REO solution sold by a resale partner will be paid out to that resale partner. How that money gets back to the publisher, the owner of the solution, takes place outside the marketplace. So it's very important to understand the difference there and have that agreement in place with your resellers. To create, resellers can sell in any market included in the original published plan. So if the original plan included 10 countries, when you authorize a new partner to sell that on your behalf, it can only be one of those 10 countries. So keep that in mind. If you want a reseller to sell this globally on your behalf, does the original plan have all the markets selected so that when you choose the Resale Enabled Offer and you're trying to authorize a partner, you can choose from those countries. You can add markets over time, but you can't remove them. Removal requires revoking and recreating the authorization. If you're creating a private offer on an authorized solution, the workflow looks the same as the direct to customer. Your key decision is selecting whether you're selling your own product or a resale enabled product, as we have highlighted here. A multi-party private offer is somewhat different. The publisher initiates the offer to the selling partner, and the partner extends that to the customer. So it's a two-step process. The MPO is currently limited by geography, the United States, Canada, and the UK. And the customer must be in one of those three countries. So it's a two-step process. The publisher initiates it, they send it to the reseller sends it to the customer. Step one is setting up the MPO, choosing the multi-party offer from Partner Center, creating the offer, which requires both the customer billing ID and the the partner's marketplace seller ID. Without the seller ID, the offer can't be routed to the right partner. In MPO, the price is set for the partner, not the end customer, another key difference with the other two private offer types. The partner then applies their customer adjustment percentage to arrive at the customer price. So again, if you've determined the price with the customer, it becomes a conversation with the reseller and the publisher to determine how that breakdown will take place to ensure that the customer sees the end price that they've agreed upon. So again, one life cycle, multiple selling models. Stephanie, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Christine. So next, we will go through the experience for the customer when buying the solution. Accept and purchase are intentionally separate steps. In many customers, the person who can accept isn't the same person who can purchase. So plan for that handoff early. These role requirements are the most common reason transactions get stuck. Your seller should validate the agreement type, again, an enterprise agreement or a Microsoft customer agreement, the billing scope, the right Azure intro roles at the customer before you send the offer. It's important to remember that the customer must provide a customer billing ID to you before you can create and extend the private offer aligned to their Azure subscription in a direct to customer scenario. And as Christine said, that you have both the customer billing ID and the seller ID in channel scenarios. We'll now switch to the customer experience demo for SaaS offers, or software as a service offers in Azure Portal. We won't cover other offer types today, but are looking for you to watch for the 3 steps of accept, purchase, and configure that are consistent across the lifecycle. There are two ways for the customer to locate the private offer. The first option is they can accept from the email that the partner sends. So the partner will email a link and other relevant details to the customer. The customer selects the link, which opens the details of the private offer on a browser. The customer can then view the details and select Accept Private Offer. The second option is the customer can locate it in their Azure portal. So they'll find the link to view and accept the offer in the Private Offers Management dashboard of the Marketplace workspace within the Azure portal. There are status markers in the customer's Azure portal. Pending means the offer is pending acceptance by the customer. Accepted means the offer was accepted and the negotiated prices that the publisher or channel partner set are applied. Ended means an offer that was accepted has reached the end of its pricing availability. So the customer can still use the subscription at that price, but any new purchases will revert back to public pricing. Expired means the offer expiration date has passed before the offer was accepted. If the customer still wants this private offer pricing, the publisher or the channel partner must create a new private offer and re-extend that to the customer. Clicking View and Accept will take the customer to a detailed overview of the private offer. From there, they click Accept Private Offer. The detailed view includes the legal entity name to which the offer applies, the plans included in the offer, the private offer price, the custom legal terms for the offer uploaded by the publisher or channel partner when creating the private offer, the start and end dates when the negotiated price applies to this offer, and the expiration date to accept the offer. The customer must accept the private offer before this date. And if they do not, again, the publisher or channel partner will need to re-extend the private offer to the customer. Once the offer is accepted, the customer will see the purchase button enabled in their private offer management workspace. After clicking purchase, a pop-up appears. The customer must complete all project and software as a service or SaaS details. Then they are able to click review and subscribe. In the review and subscribe tab, the customer can click subscribe to complete the subscription to the offer. After the customer clicks subscribe, they will see a Your SaaS subscription is in progress notification on that private offer. The Configure Now button will be grayed out until this is complete. The purchase is not yet complete until the offer is configured through the publisher's landing page. This is where a lot of deals stall. And so you just must make sure that the customer clicks Configure Now once the order is complete, and it will redirect them to your SaaS landing page. Once you complete the SaaS activation in your Azure portal, the customer can then start using your solution. Bringing it back to the life cycle. Activation is driven by offer type, not selling motion. Commercial steps finish at purchase. Technical fulfillment starts immediately after that. Activation is technical, again, not commercial. For SaaS, the publisher provisions access in their tenant after Marketplace confirms purchase. Note that for SaaS offers, billing does not start until the publisher activates the solution from their SaaS portal. For deployable offers, the customer deploys resources into their Azure subscription. Here's the life cycle again at a glance. If you're troubleshooting, ask, are we blocking create, in accept and purchase, or in activation or deploy? The fix really depends on the stage. I want to leave you with two things: the top reasons Marketplace offers stall, and the resources to enable you to operationalize Marketplace as the go-to-market motion. The top stall reasons we see in real deals are plan structure gaps, agreement or billing scope mismatches, Marketplace not enabled at the customer, wrong roles, or unclear or mismatched expectations in deal structure with and without channel. Check out the learn links to pre-check before you send your private offer. To wrap, use these resources to move from readiness to repeatability, getting transactable, optimizing the listing, creating private offers, and scaling through channel. Then engage the marketplace community for questions and updates. Thank you for joining today, and this deck will be posted along with the recording in the marketplace community.
Thank you, Stephanie and Christine, for that great session. I know we had some questions come in, but we do have time for live Q&A. If anybody is watching and has any other questions, definitely feel free to post them in the chat. So we will go ahead and get started. First question, what do I need from the customer before I send a private offer?
So what you're going to want is the customer billing ID for their Azure subscription. You will want to ask the customer to do this, and they can provide it to you by running a private offer eligibility check. That allows them to view the various Azure subscriptions that they have and choose the right one that they want your solution to run on.
And I would add to that, as you're asking the customer to provide you that information, remind them of the two role types that they need to accept the private offer and subscribe to a SaaS solution. The roles are different, whether you have an EA or an MCA agreement, and the roles are different for accepting and subscribing to the private offer. So as you're asking for that, really start to prime the customer to identify those people or that person who can accept and subscribe to the SaaS solution.
Thanks, Christine.
Two of the things that often will delay the final purchase of a private offer.
Got it. Thanks. Next question. I am still a little unclear on what type of private offer I should use and when. Customer private offer, multi-party private offer, CSP private offer, or resale enabled offer. Do y'all have any advice on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to use a customer private offer when you are selling directly to the customer. There's no channel or reseller partner involved. You also just want to make sure at the customer that they aren't already on a CSP or don't already use a CSP. That can help you determine if you need to use CSP versus going a different channel route or going direct to customer. When you're using MPO and resale enabled offers or multi-party and resale enabled offers, this is where you have a channel partner or a distributor or I'm trying to think of the
Any
other
type of reseller in the middle.
type of reseller that is involved, and you are using them to scale your business. This could be because the customer already works with that reseller, or it's because you have a relationship with that reseller already, or you're looking to sell into a market that maybe you don't have presence in. So it's really up to you and your business how you decide which motion you decide to use. But the direct to customer is really about when you want to contract or paper directly with that customer versus having them engage through a third party. And Christine, anything to add on that?
I would, and I would try to draw a differentiation between MPO, the multi-party private offer, and the resale enabled offer. It really comes down to, as the publisher, as the owner of the solution that's being sold, are you engaged in the sales process? If you have global resellers that you work with or partners in other countries that you work with, you can enable them to sell your solution on your behalf. You can authorize them. That really allows them, once they have that authorization, to create private offers as they see fit, without you needing to initiate that offer, which is what an MPO does. MPO, again, only available in the US, UK, and Canada. But doing that, you know very well that it's going to be an MPO because you're involved in that process. You initiate the private offer, you send it to the reseller, and they in turn send it to the customer. So the decision really is, are you selling it direct, or are you selling it with someone? And then how are you selling that with someone? That really becomes the decision point.
Great, thank you. Next question. We accepted the private offer. Why isn't the solution active yet? Shouldn't it be automatic?
So the solution becomes active when you, the publisher, say that it becomes active. There is that 3-step process where they accept. And again, that's a different role than the person that usually purchases at the customer. And then that 3rd step is the configuration. So once they accept and purchase, it's the responsibility of the publisher to essentially flip the switch to allow them to use your solution. For SaaS offers, billing starts only once that switch is flipped. And so that is where you as the publisher kind of take control back of the process. Christine, anything to add?
If I were to put my procurement hat on for a moment, in the SaaS process that we've just described, as they're selecting the subscription and then the resource group as part of the process, from a procurement point of view, that's really allowing them to assign the cost, the price that they're going to pay for this solution, to a cost center, to a business unit, to an organization. So that process, that 2-step process, is really beneficial to procurement. It allows them to apportion out costs to the right organization that's buying it. It gives them some flexibility as to how they manage their own costs.
Okay. Next question. You mentioned flexible billing. How does that work, and when should I use it?
Yeah, so you can use flexible billing in a couple of ways. You can absolutely use it as an annual pricing tool, but you can also use it as a way to do time-based milestone billing. So if you as the customer want to pay your invoice on the 15th of every month, flexible billing allows you to set the payment date to the 15th. And then with next day invoicing on MCA, they are allowed on Microsoft Customer Agreement. They are then billed right in the time frame that they're looking to be billed on. This really helps the customer plan for their current procurement process, their current billing cycles, and it allows you as the partner or as the person extending the private offer to meet the needs of the customer based on how they want to be billed. And Christine, anything to add?
I love it for 2 reasons. One, oftentimes there's a ramp up. If it's the first implementation, there's a ramp up. And if it's a planned ramp, then we know the dates and amounts and times that you plan to ramp up. And so you can set month 1 is one value, month 2 is another, month 8 is another value. And then maybe year 2 is a different value, year 3 is a different value. So if they're all separate values and you want to allow for that ramp in charges, then flexible billing is fantastic. Also, if it's a renewal and you're maybe in the 10th month of your renewal, you can add on or you can prorate. You know, year 1 is only going to be X amount of dollars, whereas year 2 and year 3 are the same. So flexible billing is just that. It allows you to determine the amount that you want to charge on a specific date that you want to charge. So it solves a number of solutions that customers are asking for.
Great. Looks like we have one more question. And if anybody watching has another question, go on and submit it right now. Final question. What are the most common reasons private offers get stuck?
So the most common reasons are the roles were early identified at the customer. And so once the deal is extended, either the right person isn't on the line to accept and purchase, or the person that you have extended the offer to doesn't know the person. And so deals stall at that point. The second one is really the not the right deal construct.
Right.
So identifying late in the stage or after the paper has already been signed that a CSP is involved. This can cause rework for the publisher to be able to add the CSP margin. It also causes rework for the customer. And I would say the big third one on my list is really the publisher not activating the solution after the purchase. So the customer accepts, the customer purchases, and they're like, why can't I use the solution? Why am I not getting billed? And it's really about the publisher actually activating the solution after the customer goes to your landing page to configure. Christine, what are your top three?
I'm going to go back to the plan. It all starts with having a good plan. Oftentimes, some publishers are so eager to get a transactable solution in the marketplace that they simply choose the 1-month payment option. That's probably not how you sell. It's an easy one to fix. It just simply requires going back into the plan, selecting the other billing terms, the 1 year, 2 year, 3 or 4 or 5, and republishing. Republishing the second time is much faster. But so when you create the plan, just have a little forethought about how it is that you sell. And if I look at a previous contract with this plan that I've just created, support that contract. So for me, I'll go back to the plan as the biggest stalling point.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Great. So I actually did have another question come in.
Sure.
If we are the transacting partner, we are not the creator of the offer. We're a partner who is adding a managed service to the original offer, i.e. the middle person between the offer owner and the customer. What information do we need to have available in Partner Center to allow the offer creator to send us the offer so that we can add our add-on? That was a long...
Right.
I don't know if I need to repeat anything. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, you can go and take this one, Christine.
Sure. So if you want to be a reseller, you still need the same Partner Center account. You need a tax and payout profile. You need that seller ID. All of that needs to be enabled for you to be able to sell anything in the marketplace. With a seller ID and the tax and payout profile complete, then the company, the SDC who owns the solution that you want to resell, you guys have a conversation, come to an agreement, and they can authorize you in Partner Center. You go into Partner Center and you will be able to see the solution that you're able to sell, create a private offer to your mutual customer.
And just to add one more thing on that note, you as the reselling partner will need to provide your seller ID to the publisher in order for them to identify you and authorize you or send you directly in a multi-party situation that offer.
Got it. Thank you. Question, can private offers be used with trials, pilots, or proof of concepts?
So not a trial. That's a specific function within a plan. So not a trial. But if you were to create a proof of concept, and it was 3 months long, 6 months long, that would be an opportunity to use that month. I was just saying a month isn't good, but in the proof of concept, that might be a great use case for it. So create a private offer using that monthly charge. Make sure that the recurrence is the auto renew is on, so that the monthly plan continues for as long as you want. So it can in certain cases, but not with a free trial. Proof of concept, it's doable. Yeah.
Okay. How flexible can I get with pricing? Can we offer custom discounts, tiered pricing, or custom billing terms?
Yes.
So
the only thing that I would...
go ahead, Steph.
Sorry, I was going to say, yes, you can. The only thing that I would note is there is no milestone-based billing. So you can't say something like, after this much utilization, or after 3 studies, or after 6 chat outputs. You can't say something like that to have flexible billing go into place. But yes, you can absolutely offer custom terms. You can offer discounted pricing. And you can bill in such a way that the customer is asking for it. So as Christine mentioned earlier, if you want to do a ramp up, or if you want to, do a certain pricing at a certain date and time, you can absolutely do that. The the last thing that I'll just add, and I'll let Christine chime in, you can't change the discounting afterwards. So it is a consistent discounting on a private offer. You can't say in year 1, we're going to do 3%, and in year 2, we're going to do 6% discount. That would require a new private offer.
Do you have anything
to add? Ahead of time and do the math, which you could with flexible billing.
Yeah.
Just a note about custom terms and what that means. So oftentimes people say custom terms, they're thinking about payment terms. So I want to say net 30 or net 60. The payment terms and the payout timelines are really driven by the marketplace. So if you want something that's net 60, you have to plan something out to be paid in 60 days and then allow for the marketplace payout time to on top of that, right? So the payout times and the custom terms, depending on how you define custom terms, the payout process is really driven by the marketplace. That would be the one thing that I would say publishers and resellers have sort of the least control over. But as I said, it can be worked in using the flexible billing.
Got it. Also wanted to add in questions like this. I think accessing our marketplace docs on Microsoft Learn would be my recommendation. I know we have a full article that describes everything Stephanie and Christine just explained with regards to flexible pricing, discounts, etc. So if you're unfamiliar with the docs, I can try to grab a link in a second, but it's just the marketplace partner documentation on Microsoft Learn. So definitely encourage you to check that out. Next question, are private offers renewable?
So the customer can choose auto renew or not in their experience. I believe it is now defaulted to off. So if you do want something to auto renew, you'll just want to work that in with the customer conversation and make sure that they click that auto renew button.
Okay. Can private offers span multiple regions, multiple Azure subscriptions?
It is tied to a specific Azure subscription. So when the customer gives you that subscription ID, that customer billing ID, that is the subscription on which your solution will be deployed or your solution will be utilized.
Right.
Okay. And does that cover multiple regions as well?
It depends on how the customer has it set up, whether their Azure subscription is for multiple regions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We had a great second wave of questions coming, but I think we've captured them all. There is, I'll just verbalize this. We won't. Oh, actually, we are going to flash it on the screen. The docs on creating a private offer, aka.ms/marketplace private offer. So that would be a great resource to pin, and that will answer many of the questions that came in today. So we will go ahead and wrap up. Thanks to everybody who attended for all those great questions. Thank you, Stephanie and Christine, for all of your subject matter expertise. And on that note, make sure to join the community, access not only this recording, but all of our other partner office hours. And this is a monthly offering, so stay tuned for next month where we will cover a totally new topic for partners on Marketplace. And again, that link is aka.ms/community/marketplace. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.